Well, hello and welcome to What Crappens, a podcast for all the crap we love to talk about on ye old browse. I'm Ronnie. That's Ben over there. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Ronnie. How are you?
Girl, we're still in New York City, and I'm like Pac-Man just collecting carbs as I walk down streets. I'm like eating every little dot I see. Bagel here, chocolate croissant there, some other random patisserie there.
I get it. I mean, it's been eating and drinking nonstop since we got here. And, after we're done with this recording, it's Bagel Thursday and I'm in New York City. So I'm going to get a bagel from my favorite bagel shop after this. And I am so excited.
Well, let me show you what I got. I got this from Angelina. They didn't give it to me free, but
famous bakery.
I guess. Ben told me it's famous. Look at this thing. It looks like a little bald old person. Look at it.
Oh, that is just adorable.
Better be good. It was $15. I was like, Jesus, was this a drug drop? No, I already ate the croissant. I just also saw this.
What is it?
I don't know. I forgot what it's called.
Is it
I call it little old bald man.
Old bald man. I went. They have very famous hot chocolate. I went there once years ago in Paris, and I literally had like the best hot chocolate of all time.
Hi, can I have some inferior hot chocolate? Sorry, inferior Paris. I mean, I'll go there later.
It's really cool that you got your Angelina thing on 6th Avenue. I got mine kind of like in Paris. So
sorry. All right, everybody, welcome to the show today. It is Sailing Salt Lake City. God, that's probably next. There's Mormons on a boat. We just love the Mormons these days. Here we are with Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion part 2. Very excited. It's a very sad episode. So, half of this we're going to skip. This might be our shortest recap ever because I can only talk about people crying so much, okay, about serious things. I love when people cry about petty shit, but yeah, it was a good episode, but I was like, this is sad. Bye. I quit my job. Okay, so also we're here for the Golden Crappies, which is this Saturday night at Town Hall on Broadway here in New York City. It's going to be amazing. We've been rehearsing today. We've been writing. We've got, the music guy coming in. It's so fun, you guys. It's going to be so good. If you cannot be here, there's only 20, I don't know, there's probably not even that left. We didn't check, but there's hardly any tickets left. So stream it. You can get streaming tickets, and it's going to be a big professional stream. There's like multicam. It's going to be amazing. A huge chat room party, and you can buy tickets. Just go to watchwhatcrappens.com to find your Kizwi links there. Also, this is on video as usual, and we do traders recaps on Patreon. So if you want videos and all that, go to Patreon. If you want videos just a week later, but for free, you can still get them on our YouTube channel, which is Watch What Crappens on YouTube. Also, Page 6 had us today, which was lovely. Talking to those guys, Evan and Danny, really good guys. We laughed our asses off. Check them out. And then we'll be on Watch What Happens tonight as bartenders with Southern Charm people, Patricia and Austin.
And, I think our number one question is, have you guys been on Watch What Happens live? So now we can say we have been there in person. We did do some Zoom stuff with them during the pandemic, but this was our first time, which was super exciting. And we're going to have so much fun. But then in terms of another question people often ask us is, have you guys ever been on Bitch Sesh? It's hosted by Casey Wilson and Danielle Schneider. And now we can happily say the answer is yes. We did an episode with them, which I believe is coming out today. And it was so fun. Like, just had the best time. So please go seek out that episode and listen and subscribe and all that fun stuff. We had the greatest time. It's been such a fun week connecting.
What a fun couple of gals. People. I'll tell you that.
Oh my goodness.
If someone said describe those two, I'd say what a fun couple of gals. Okay. We really liked them.
We really did. And so they said, I think the episode's coming out today. If it's not out today, it'll be out in a little bit. But wow, that was our 400th episode, and we just we got on like a house on fire, as they say.
Yep. It was a house of fire, not on fire. Okay.
Is it a house of fire?
I think it's like they're getting like a house of fire. I mean, I don't know. I'm
like white Texas. On rice.
Yeah, no, that's when you're like stalking somebody.
Oh, we got along
still recording.
We got along like light bulbs in a lamp. They just work well.
We just beat up against them. Just kept being like, "Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you." Nice to meet you. They're like, oh my God.
It was great.
Turn off
fun.
my light.
Yeah.
So here we are with Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. We pick off where we left off last time, where Todd is all pissy about Lisa because, as he says, well, bringing up issues about Gwendolyn, that's sensitive, and you asserting that Bronwyn had a miscarriage, which she did not do. She asserted that the parents asserted that she had a miscarriage.
Yes.
Get it straight, Todd. Okay, you double talker.
And Lisa's like, Todd, I get where you're coming from. He's like, you asserted that Bronwyn had a miscarriage. And
Watch your tone.
I'm not watching my tone. You watch your tone.
Watch your tone.
No,
watch your tone.
By the way, you know what I'm turning on tonight? Your tone. I'm going to watch it. You better watch your tone too.
This is a friendly environment. I mean, it's funny hearing John say, watch your tone, because if there is ever a lack of tone in the world, it's John. He has zero tone. John is almost transparent. I can basically see the veins and the muscle sinew in John Barlow's body. He's toneless.
Yeah, I think that's a very, like, in so many ways. So Todd's like, really? I need to watch my tone. So John's like, where's security? Where's should we get security? I'm afraid of the Todd father. And Lisa's like, listen, I understand why that would be extremely hurtful and extremely offensive. But I think that sometimes you have to realize that when you're saying things on camera, then they live on camera and then they can be repeated.
Yeah, and Bronwyn's like, but repeating something 6 months later, that's just despicable. That is dastardly and despicable, Lisa. No, it's not, because the after show is filmed then. So if you're filming the after show and they're asking you if you shot a scene and they say, hey, Lisa, you brought up that the grandparents asserted that they were told that Bronwyn had a miscarriage, and Lisa answers that question, it's because it was on camera and Lisa doesn't know it's been cut. So stop trying to make it sound like she's doing some horrible, dastardly thing. You're ridiculous.
Yeah. So, you know what? I already talked to you. I already apologized to you. So you can put on a show and pretend that I didn't. Because I'm not putting on a show, Lisa. It's just how I feel about it. And I will nod you into submission.
I'm just very upset. So I'm just going to let my disappointed head shake speak for me right now. Okay? I hope you're feeling very bad. You feel badly about yourself? You should. Yes? Yes.
The fact of the matter is my intention was good, and it was the hardest conversation I've ever had, next to the time I had to tell Henry that McDonald's was no longer serving breakfast. Oh.
The only other time I had a conversation this bad was when my son in Bogota told me that his roommate tried to cut his hair with just regular scissors in the room.
The only time I had a conversation that was harder than this was when I had to tell Henry that Xbox Live was down.
And Andy's like, well, I thought that your protectiveness over Gwen meeting the grandparents, whether she met them or not, was admirable. And Todd's like, thank you. That is
Watch your tone, Andy.
Pilot of a palm pilot.
Watch your tone. So
it was sad though that Todd calmed down so quickly, because I thought we were going to get some Todd anger, and they were like, dun, 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 we're leaving the reunion with angry Todd. And then we got back, he's like, all right, yeah, it's all good. What are you going to do?
Yeah, he put his anger in a seatbelt, and by seatbelt, I mean he crossed his arms. Like, all right, I'm just trapped in the anger.
Yeah, he's like, I will be over here squeezing my lips with my two fingers a little bit.
Yeah, corporate executives, they run hot and then they cool down right away, I feel like, because they're going to run hot about something new soon. Listen, why am I being apologetic to corporate executives? Never mind. Fuck that.
You're like, stand up for the rich people.
I was like, guys, listen who needs the most misunderstood group in America right now. Corporate executives.
Yeah.
They have no power in this country. It makes me sad. They're disenfranchised.
Swiss from Miss wrote in, Angie, why are you holding Meredith accountable for the gay rumor when all she said was that there were rumors? You never held Whitney accountable for getting Monica to spill the rumor. Now, this question was just brushed over because Meredith starts having a cow about nothing in a minute. Why is Whitney getting no shit? Whitney is the one who started this. Whitney started it. She was the one who brought Monica over and was like, we have heard something about your marriage. Go ahead, Monica. Tell her what I absolutely would never absolutely say by myself. And so Monica did it. And Whitney's just sitting over there hiding behind Bronwyn's dress.
Yeah. So Angie's like, well, I know that there were off-camera conversations about me, and you know what? I'll never be able to prove it. So all I have to do at this point is just say Meredith swore she didn't play a role in it, and I have no choice but to move on with it, which is actually like it's like a little it's begrudging, but it's her way of saying like, well, I have to take Meredith's word for it. And she could have said it nicer. She could have said, you know what, Meredith and I have talked. I want to move forward with Meredith, so I'm taking her word for it, and I believe her. But Meredith is like, no, I want full exoneration.
Yeah, and I don't blame her, because that's the thing that's been following her around for a long time, and Angie's just not going to give her that. And it's unfortunate because I think the only other person that thought that Sean was gay before all this came out was literally everybody who's ever watched his show. And so, it's been rough. It's been a rough road.
God, we can only wish. So Meredith is like, he's so cute. So Meredith is like,
please be the wagon over my rough road, you handsome Louis Vuitton wearing baldy. Get over here.
So Meredith's like, well, it's not that simple, Angie, because you spent 2 years making false claims, and you spent 2 years, accusing me of something I didn't do, relentlessly insisting that I did it, and in turn have actually done all the things that, to me, as retaliation, you've spoken poorly about my business, you've spoken poorly about my marriage, you've spoken poorly about blah, blah, but the point is, you've accused me of talking about your home and your business, and you talk about my home and my business.
But you did talk about my home. And she just kind of like, well, I'm just going to ignore that one because it's probably true. But, horrible things. Horrible. I'm not doing any of that.
Sounds like you did. You were on film talking about how Monica could take her home. And Meredith, well, do you honestly think I'll be like, oh, go take her home? I mean, everyone knows you can't just take the house of someone who's in the Greek mafia.
Andy's like, well, you believed her in the moment, Heather, and so did Whitney. And Andy's like, wait, I'm just out of curiosity, how did she speak negatively about your home? It's like, well, I mean, she says things all the time, like rented home, home that's rented, home that she rents. And Andy's like, but don't you live in a rented home? It's like, well, I mean, obviously it was made to be horrible and sound like I'm poor or something. I love Andy pretending he doesn't understand the insinuation of people saying, what a renter, as if that's not been a thing on the Housewives for 2 decades. She's calling her a renter. What do you think it means?
I mean, it was said in a very negative light. I mean, yes, I do a winter ski rental for the 10,000th time because I only live in Utah for half the year. And Andy's like, but if it's a rental, why is it negative? I mean, just because you're on a show that values material objects and wealth and possession, why is it negative to assume that you can't afford to own the house you live in, but you don't live in?
Well, it's negative, Andy, the way that it's said, and clearly it was meant to be a slam and slander. And Andy's like, I don't really get that. Yes, you do. That's calling someone a renter is like the F word and I mean the gay F word, by the way. It's like saying the F word to a Real Housewife. You can't do that.
Yeah. All right, well, Reese's from Pieces said, Meredith, why did you expect an apology from Sean when you did leverage Brooks' sexuality so you wouldn't receive further scrutiny for the false allegations you made about Sean? Meredith is like, well, that would be impossible because I didn't make any allegations in the first place. I'm just someone who lives in a home that they own but is also rented.
And Angie's like, but why does half the world think that you did? Because you told everybody that she did. You guys have been accusing her of that for years. I mean, come on.
Also, this point is so stupid because I personally do not think, I don't think that Meredith leveraged Brooks to get out of it, but I understand when people say, no, she did. I think it's fair to say, what Meredith said, she has a complete right to say it was such a simple, small thing. And the fact that that has been blown up into like an argument, there's no argument to be had. I think it's Meredith saying, my son is part of this community. I would never, I understand what it means. I would never do that. I don't think that's like leveraging. It's not like pulling some sort of card, although I do see technically it is. I think you have a right to just say that, and it's not a big deal. And the fact that it's become a huge fight is so ridiculous.
Well, I could never be gay because I have a gay toddler, I guess is what they're alleging. But the only people that should be offended by somebody doing that are gay people. Not non-gay husbands who've been accused of being gay. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not gay, you don't get to pull the gay card. Look, you can't have it both ways. That's how I'm feeling.
I feel like she's being accused of saying, like, well, I have best friends who are black. You know, when people say something racist, I'm like, what? I would never be racist. I have a friend who's black.
That's what they're accusing her of. Yeah,
that's what they're accusing her of. But I actually don't really think it's the same thing here, personally. And I think that I think she was totally fine to say that, what she said.
Well, she's like, the premise was false to begin with, so I couldn't have been using something to excuse something that never happened. Does that make sense? And does anybody need a vocabulary thing? Because the word leverage, I'm going to read it on my phone. I will read it on my phone.
Does anyone know what the definition of leverage means? And then, like, Bronwyn nods, and then Todd raises his hand. He's like, it's a very good show on TNT. Yes, of course I know it.
He's like, yes, that's actually what Bronwyn uses to get a five diamond ring from me. So, of course I do. And she's like, well, here it is in my phone. Leverage to use to maximum advantage. Sean was asked by a gay podcaster about it and said, don't you feel like it appears that she is using her son as a defense? And she's like, no, he didn't say it appears. I did listen to the whole podcast, unlike what you said. So she starts reaching for her phone.
I have it on my phone too.
I have it on my phone too. Oh, I have it on mine. Sean's like, well, I've got a phone as well. Well, we'll just all bring out our phones then.
I'm going to listen on Apple Podcasts. I will listen on Spotify. Well, I'm going to listen on Amazon Podcasts. Oh, okay. Well, we'll see who pulls up the podcast first.
I'm going to check it out on Stitcher. Wait a minute. Okay, so then...
it's on YouTube. I got it on YouTube, guys.
So she whips out the phone, and Sean's just like, well, let me just jump in really fast, guys. And no, he said it looks like she's using her son, and Meredith reads it from the phone. I think she tried to leverage that out of the way as a pivot for her. So he literally says leverage and pivot and all this. So after the episode aired, there was a whole bunch of backpedaling. And, you know, she's a smart woman and she took the opportunity to leverage her son and things like that, knowing it didn't quite land the way she wanted it to. And my thing is, if I were a cheater, say that, but don't make it about sexuality. No, there's a difference. There's a difference between gay cheating and straight cheating. Straight cheating is gross and horrible and should never happen. Gay cheating is fun.
It's hot.
And we love hearing it's sword play. Yeah, we like to hear about it. Everybody loves sports, and it's basically sword play. What do they call that? Fencing. It's skin fencing. Okay?
Yeah.
It's time for a commercial. It's time for a Crappens commercial.
So now they play audio from behind.
Dare you try to make my cheating sound like you're cheating? I've heard my cheating. We go through a lot.
Our cheating makes for great twists in soap operas. So now we hear from behind the velvet rope, and he's like, Meredith said in the second most recent episode, you know, my son is gay, and, you know, I'm on the board of GLAAD, you know, and I would never out someone's sexuality. Like, is that like another like roundabout, like not good at defense? I mean, it's kind of like she's using that as a defense to say, why am I being blamed for this? I would never out someone's sexuality. Not that there's a sexuality even, but you know what I'm saying? Like, did you feel that way? And so, and he's like, well, that was a pretty leading question. Is that what this fight is about, really?
And Angie's like, yes. He's like, okay. Like, he's so bored of this fight. And Meredith is like, well, accusing me of using my son and his community for something I didn't do. Now, let me tell you something. And he's like, wait, you know what? This is a huge waste of time. Excuse you. I'm about to watch Meredith's head pop off. I don't consider this a waste of time at all. Can you stop diffusing the volcano, sir? Okay, it's got to get all worked up again.
Well, I'll tell you who agrees with you, Meredith. She's like, oh, okay, Andy, maybe you think it's a huge waste of time, but as far as I can tell, my toddler's being maligned by a podcaster somewhere. No, I'm just saying this interview, it just sounds like the guy let him into a thing. And Meredith's like, well, but don't take the bait then, okay? Like, don't be queer baited is what I'm just trying to say. Or just say, I shouldn't have said that. He gaslit me and denied seeing it.
And Heather's like, you know what? There are things that you just shouldn't do in this world. You shouldn't cross crosswalks when it's a red light. Okay. You shouldn't litter, and you shouldn't go on podcasts because receipts. All right. So
we are in this together. We are in the trenches. And when you go onto a podcast, you are violating a sisterhood, a covenant, a pact that comes between us because we are all doing this. And you know what? You violated that, Sean. It's like, thank you, Heather, for the monologue.
And meanwhile, Braun was just like, oh, God, I'm so exhausted with this. Oh, really? Maybe we can spend another 2 hours of you crying that Lisa Barlow wasn't nice enough to you in the beginning of the show. Come on.
Well, he said that I use my son, his sexuality, and his community to my maximum advantage. And I believe what was cut out from the episode is he also said my son's Banana Republic card. And guess what? I have my own, too.
And Andy's like, well, Sean, what do you think? Do you think that she started this rumor? And he's like, look, first of all, it's not who started the rumor, because the rumor has been around forever. Okay. So that's not the right question. And it's not like I live there, but I mean, come on. It's a gorgeous, perfectly manicured, hot guy that works out a ton and carries around Louis Vuitton bags and only cares about fashion.
And his wife is Angie K. And his wife is Angie K.
So of course,
his wife looks like Cher.
He's married to Cher lookalike. Of course, the allegations have been out there. So it's not about who made the accusation. It's about who brought it on camera. I think that that's the big thing. The person who brought it on camera is Whitney, period. I mean, it was Monica too, but Whitney was in cahoots with Monica, and Whitney was the first one. Whitney had the first line. So I say go for Whitney. This is stupid for Meredith and Angie to be fighting over this like crazy.
It is. I agree. And so he's like, this was in a different context. The way I saw it looking from the outside, it was her and Monica had something to do with it. And during that time, you must be able to understand how we could have thought, or I could have thought that, that was maybe a backpedal. And that was like my perception of the time. And, look, at the end of the day, I didn't know you well enough to take your word for it at the time. I just knew you were just someone who seemed instantly iconic and who I would love to see perform at a club some night, maybe doing some show tunes. That's all I could think of when I saw you. That's it.
Look, as somebody who doesn't do crossword puzzles and instead just draws your face over every single one of them I get and mutters things to myself while I eat cereal like, icon, mother, icon. I would never want to upset you, Meredith. Okay. She's like, okay, well, maybe we just need to clarify things then, Sean. And he's like, well, it's about earning each other's trust and developing trust. It's about a circle where we stand together and we just try not to be jerks with each other. But if jerks do happen upon the circle, wait a minute.
So, and he's like,
where are my pants unzipped?
All right, well, Meredith, what do you think about what Sean just said? Well, my reaction to that is that his wife was told at après-ski and again at Greek Easter that I didn't do this. So the podcast that was 6 to 8 months after that, and the only person who brought this up was Monica. And Monica flat out said the day she brought it up and then again at Greek Easter that I didn't do it. So I don't know why they keep believing that I did.
And Heather's like, here's the question. Why isn't she just absolved? When are we going to forgive? When do we as human beings learn that forgiveness is what we're going for? Does Jesus need to come back down, die on the cross again? What needs to happen?
I love when Heather monologues, she puts her finger up and sends it on like a model train, like a virtual like model train track. She goes around in a circle with it. She's like, we are all guilty of talking at Greek Easter. We are all guilty of rumors and we cannot let this come between us. We are a sisterhood and we are in the trenches together.
And you know what? You have to remember that in Bermuda, we were like ready to throw her over the boat. And Meredith is like, well, let me just say, I'm going to go through my phone again. So she starts scrolling. And Angie goes, but at après-ski, she leaned in and said, when Meredith was flying off the handle, she said she was saying this, meaning you, Meredith. And a week later, she backpedaled and said it wasn't Meredith. It was a grape leaf. Up.
No, at après-ski, she said it was never Meredith. At après-ski, I was sitting there and I heard it with my own, that you have own ears. You have to pull the audio on that. Okay, this is not fair to me. You have to pull the audio on that. By the way, they mentioned après-ski so many times. I thought that Bravo was going to literally reboot their show après-ski.
I can't even respond to that because it just depressed me. I was like, please don't do this to us. It's like, please don't do this to us. Actually, that was a decent show. So Lisa's like, well, she said it was never Meredith, because I went to Meredith and I clocked her. Okay. I was like, you shouldn't have said this, Meredith. I literally scold like Meredith. And Angie's like, go back. I screenshot the text caption and it said she is saying, and that's what she led me to believe. Yeah, but it just said she. It doesn't, I don't know, the evidence. This is exhausting. I can see why they're doing it.
It is. It's because it's really is so stupid. Andy's like, all right, well, Angie, guess what? Not only did you get Center Snowflake, not only did you get first seat at the reunion, but guess what? Control Room is backing you up and saying that Angie is correct. Congratulations, the trifecta. You got production behind you.
And Heather's like, wait, so Monica told you it came from Meredith? And then he's like, okay, but then Monica also said that it didn't come from her. So do we believe Monica or don't we believe Monica? But I don't know. And Meredith is like, Monica, at Opry Ski, I looked at Monica. I said, why are you saying this? And she said, you did not say it. Was that scene on the show? It was on the show. Am I the only person? And I'm kind of glad, I'm exhausted by the whole thing, but I'm kind of glad that she's not letting it go because she's like, it's on camera that I didn't say it. Why are you still insinuating that I'm saying it? You saying well, if she did, I can't prove it either way, so I'll just forgive her anyway. That does her no favors. Just say you didn't say it.
I think
or that she didn't say it.
I do also think it's wild that Angie and Sean are still on this because I think no one who watched the show ever believed that Meredith said this, that Meredith started this rumor. Meredith, when they asked her, what'd you hear? She's like, this is what people are saying. But she wasn't saying it in a way of well, guess what, everyone? I want to tell everyone, here's what I hear. It wasn't here's what I hear. It's like, well, you want to hear the shit that people are saying? This is what people have said. It wasn't not in I did not take it as a vicious rumor mongering kind of way. And I am shocked that watching the season back that Angie and Sean are still feeling that way.
Yeah. And it's frustrating because it's one of the Real Housewives tropes of you just stay mad at the first thing that you were ever mad at with somebody, right? So They're not even really fighting about this. They're fighting about just in general why they don't like each other. And I think also it's a thing on this show where there's so many lies. I mean, we see it right now with Real Housewives of New York where you've got two cast members who all they do is fucking lie, Aaron and Brynn. Yeah. All they do is lie, but they lie about each other and try and start fights. So we see it there. But before that, you would get maybe one or two lies a year. But now it's like a cacophony of lying. They're all lying. Whitney's bringing out her phone with this rumor that one fucked that person. Then Whitney's also bringing up the rumor of the gay thing. And then Whitney also brought up the rumor of the Jizz for Jazz thing. This is all fucking Whitney, by the way, now that I go over it. Every single one of these is Whitney.
Yeah, I think that you are onto something there. Look, the lies that I'm okay with, that I think are fun on The Housewives, is when someone tells a little fib to improve their reputation, to sort of maybe they're kind of lying to kind of make it sound like their business is doing better than it is, or their marriage is doing a little bit better, because those lies always come out, and then they dig deeper and deeper, and the stupid little fib becomes a giant snowball, and it goes wild and becomes a mess. The lies I don't like are when Brynn blatantly lies about what someone said, because now you're being an unreliable narrator to your castmates and to the audience, and that's not cool. But if you are gonna if the lie comes from your own vanity, I am all for it, because that's hilarious and it always gets totally blown up in their faces.
Yes, agreed. But here we go. We're still on about it. So they're kind of snapping over each other, Meredith and Angie, just incessantly and over stupid shit. And Sean's like, but Andy, this is why it's really hard to trust anything. I know, but it's also your wife that's doing it, I love Angie, but it's not like Angie's so innocent in this. You know what I mean? So Angie's also still snapping, and he says it more in a way of just I don't know how you fucking do this every day. This is exhausting,
Sean looks like he wants to cry. He's just this is so much. I just want to go back to the salon and do a blowout. So then Meredith's this is never going to end until you actually play the audio. You know what, Andy? I'm getting angry. I'm you're getting angry? I think we've been there for the past 10 minutes on this show.
You've given yourself a concussion, lady. Your neck is swinging. Your head is swinging around so much. She's like, in fact, I think I am finished. If you won't play the audio from the clip, then I am absolutely. I was like, are you in a washing machine? She looks like she's on spin cycles. Like,
Is this one? Is she standing now? Because at some point she stands up and is now pointing. I don't remember when she stands up.
yeah, it's right here. Because Auntie's like, wait a minute, look at me, do not go away. She's like, the whole reason I came here was for this.
He's like, Meredith, we've established that you didn't start this. Are you saying that I started this? Are you saying that I have an eating disorder, Andy, with my disability? He's like, I literally said nothing. Oh, really? You think that I'm now using Brooks's gayness to get an advantage? And it's like, thanks a lot, Andy. I did not come here for this.
And Angie's like, Meredith, they just said in the control room that you said that Monica said she said this. How am I supposed to feel? And Andy's like, no, but then she also said, I mean, come on, we're dealing with Monica. Why do we have to keep showing Monica? And you have to hand it to Monica for a one season wonder. She is still in this show. Like she caused so much mayhem that she's still in the reunion a year later.
And how is it that they and also given that how do they not realize, why do they never have a moment where they say, wow, Monica said this to me and she said this to you. Wow, she really was messing with us. How did these two women not realize this?
Yeah. Because it's not about her. It's just about hating each other, and trying to make it look like the other person's a liar. So Andy's like, but, I mean, you're dealing with an unreliable person. I mean, tell me about it. But yeah, Andy's the best one to speak on that because you are the ringleader of the housewives. He's like, if even I'm saying it, that's pretty bad.
By the way, stay tuned for Roni, another amazing episode, guys. Trust me. So Meredith is like, she's like, well, unless I know that you're going to play that audio at après ski when Monica very clearly says, Meredith didn't say it. I did. So Sean's like, hey, Meredith, don't leave. Let's resolve this. Also, can I get an autograph real quick before you go? Thanks so much.
He's like, Meredith, turn around. Every now and then I get a little...
Hey, Meredith, I need a hero. I need a lady who comes in with a robe. She likes to take baths and she has a cute son. And also she's just really cool in everything she does. I need a hero.
Oh, God, please stop the non-gay person from trying to sing gay covers. I can't. And by the way, Angie has an unwarranted mean girl vendetta against me, and I don't know why. And she goes, oh, I do. And Mary's like, Meredith, please don't leave. Please don't leave.
Meredith,
this is exhausting. Can we just finish this? And then Sean's like, well, I think there's a little bit in forth with these two. And she's like, no, if I'm a liar, I will not stay. But Meredith is doing that thing where she's walking off, but not really walking off. And she's wearing a pashmina with a fur lining. And she says, she keeps turning around and flipping the pashmina like she's going to storm off, but she doesn't. So she just looks crazy. She's just flipping it around and then flipping her head back around and then flipping it back around. It's so fucking funny. I just want to put some champagne glasses to get dusted, Yeah. Just wait for it to whip back around.
I think it's time for Meredith to be cast on next season of The Traitors. I'm just going to put that out there. I think she would be very, very funny on it. Assuming they don't vote her off first. So Andy goes, okay, hold on. There was one moment where Monica said to Angie, she's saying this, meaning you, and we see it. And then Andy's like, and then there's another moment where Monica said, Meredith is not saying this. And then we see that. So Angie's like, how do you know what Meredith is even talking about? She's like, well, I didn't hear it from Monica. Oh, sorry. I'm reading the flashback. But basically what happens is they show the footage and Meredith is like, that's correct. And Angie's like, well, the story changed. Okay, so the story changed. She said both on camera. And Meredith is like, well, she never said Meredith said it. And she said she said it.
Oh, my God. I'm absolutely fucking exhausted. So then we see the clip of Monica saying, well, she's saying that his boyfriends need to be quiet because they're out here in the streets of Salt Lake City talking about fucking your husband. Okay.
Right.
So yeah. Oh my gosh. So then,
then Andy's basically like, but the most important thing is, no, she told her on camera, this is what Meredith is saying, but the most important thing is she's the one who brought it up. You never brought it up. I'm agreeing with you, Meredith. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And so she's like finally got what she wanted. She has been vindicated. She got the clips played, and Monica's also excited because she got to be on TV again. So good for her. And now he's like, all right, I'm going to move forward. Watch your tone. Excuse me? Watch your tone.
You can stop that now, John. You can stop it. You did good, though. Okay. We'll give him a new line later, Andy. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. So, John and Justin, the night of the Mob Wives party, the fight between you two escalated pretty quickly. When you watched it back, did it play the way you remembered it? And Justin, do you regret not having any upper skin above your lips, above your teeth? How does that feel?
John's like, yeah, I'm pretty embarrassed for the second reaction when I like flopped myself right in front of Justin, and it was like really embarrassing. And everyone in America laughed at my strange, my strange motions. It wasn't to start a fight or anything. It was mainly to kind of diffuse the situation, and obviously I didn't.
And Justin's like, I didn't raise my voice. I just like leaned forward. And I was like, what's she lying about? So, I mean, the second time was more aggressive, but I didn't really mean it that way. It was a question, and it just threw me off. It was actually worse in my mind than it was on TV, Andy. No, it was bad on TV too. But I like that the guys are just like, we're guys.
Yeah,
we're done.
Whatever.
And also the guys are so kind of, I don't want to say gaslit because that's not the right way to put it, but it's just like, you better stand up for me tonight, as we know, because later in this episode, Justin does not stand up for Whitney or is confronted about it, and she just gives stink eye the rest of the time. But, they just want you to stand up for them, and so they try and do it, and then they just look like idiots because I don't even know what's going on. It's so confusing, especially on this show. It's such chaos. You don't even know who to stand up for, so just stand back,
Yeah.
All right, John, in Mexico, Whitney revealed that you and Lisa allegedly participated in a threesome. Are there any videos? Can you share them with me? I won't show anyone. And she's like, it was a rumor. It was a rumor. And Andy's like, well, had you heard that rumor before? She's like,
no. No.
Okay, well, Lisa, you associated Sean's name with circle jerks while in Mexico.
Yes, I did.
He's like, God, I'm never going to get rid of this, Sean. He just looks so bewildered, like, I'm never going to get rid of this. There are worse things to be accused of,
Yeah, exactly. So Lisa's like, okay, here's what happened. For real, guys, for real. Okay, I can't even articulate a sentence because I'm like so upset. But I was like, how would you feel if someone said this about Sean? How would you feel if someone said this about you? He was like, yeah, but like, she already knows how that feels because people keep accusing me of being part of circle jerks.
And he's like, well, it was an analogy. She goes,
Yeah, it was an analogy, like 100%. Like, I don't think that, and I know you don't participate in circle jerks. I know you don't. I mean, I think you don't. Maybe you do. It would be fun if you did. I mean, you know what? Could someone pass this hand sanitizer over to Sean? Just in case, because I care about you. You know what? I didn't even know what a circle jerk was until 2 weeks ago.
It's something about Caribbean food, right? So Andy's like,
Whitney wants to say something to John. Yeah, I'm sorry for bringing you into that, John. I know, based on this last year, the meanest thing that I've done to Lisa is talk about your marriage, and I wanted to burn that with you. I apologize. And the thing that I regret most about our friendship is, lying.
Whitney, you're so full of shit. So the worst thing you ever did was talk about her marriage. So you wanted to apologize by bringing a brand new rumor up about her marriage and putting it out there.
Yes.
She's so full of shit, and she gets away with it again because John's just like, I mean, I forgive you. It would be easier for both of us to forgive you together because then we'd be three in a forgiveness circle. And we could all be. Sean's like, stop, I'm getting a hard on. Okay. So then Whitney's like, yeah, I'm really sorry about it. So Lisa just goes, I appreciate that. And also, John, I didn't get the opportunity to apologize to you. He's like, thanks. She goes, and I'm sorry. and just kind of smiles because no one yells at her. Like, there she goes again.
Commercials. Here comes one right now.
So now Andy's like, Justin, why did you not feel the need to stand up for your wife when Seth called her a biatch? And then we see a clip of proof, biatch.
Justin's like, okay, because I had just committed to myself that I was not going to get involved in the drama. Like that morning it happened, Andy. And like, I had my own little meditation of like, okay, I'm just going to enjoy this moment. And honestly, when he did it, it was kind of funny. I did enjoy the moment. So until I say it, like, until I saw it, I didn't realize how aggressive it was. So I do regret not having a voice in that moment in time, but also kind of hilarious.
Seth, what do you think? And Seth's like, well, I thought it was aggressive, but I think that's a fair assessment, but we started getting wasted at Todd's, on the boat, he had a really good, $500 añejo. So, I was a bit impaired. And,
it was a limited batch. It was a limited batch of Werther's original añejo. So it was very special to share it with the men.
Then, you've got Sean. It seemed like he was being dishonest. And you got Meredith telling me he was calling my son, But look, when I say, what's up, biatch? I mean, when I see John, I say, what's up, biatch? It's like saying, what's up, dog? So what's up, biatch? And
hey, Chloe. It's like Brooks. Hey, Dad's on TV doing the biatch.
Oh, my God. Oh, I told him
so
to stop
embarrassing.
it. I'm like so cringe.
Like the other day, he went into like Dick's Sporting Goods, like, hey, biatch. Like,
hey,
that's
biatch.
double gross. Like,
seriously.
why would you go in there? And then why would you say, hey, biatch?
Remember when they thought that when I was born and they put biatch on my birth certificate because Dad went, you did it, biatch. And we had to get it changed. It took till I was 5.
My first memory was coming out of Mother's mother room and hearing the words, biatch. I was like, gross.
They told me I was the first baby that ever tried to crawl back in. So awkward.
I'm so embarrassed.
Cringe.
Gross.
But why did you feel like you needed to say that to me and be so aggressive in my face? He was not in your face. He was like down the table from you. And he did say biatch and not bitch. And I think those are two big differences. Could he have used better words? Yes. But here we go again of the men trying to stand up for their wives and failing miserably and then getting victim shit thrown on top of them because now he said the B word to a lady. So it's like, oh my God, Seth, I can't stand up for you on this one.
Yeah, I can't stand up for, it was such a cringy moment. I'm not going to stand up for Seth, but what I will say is the way it really read to me was he as someone that this happens to a lot, where sometimes you don't stick the landing to like your joke or your moment and you just accidentally
I would know
overshoot.
nothing about that.
Sometimes like you overshoot, and I think that he kind of like overshot.
And Sean knows a lot about that. He's gotten a lot on other people's shoes.
Oh man, I'm never going to live this down. So I'm not there to defend Seth, but I also can empathize because I have definitely been there where I've had that biatch moment where like, oh, that came out so much harder and I was trying to be funny and it just landed like awfully. So I get it.
Yeah. So Whitney's like, yeah, but like I felt like you were aggressive in my face. And he goes, no excuse for name calling. No excuse. Okay.
Because you jumped in. That's why, stupid. Because you jumped in. If you don't want to catch stray biatches, don't jump in, dummy.
And Meredith is like, well, he can answer too. Right. And Seth's like, well, it was not intended the way that Angie just called my wife a bitch. Or yeah. Wait, he didn't say that, didn't?
No, he did. He said, well, it wasn't intended like the way Angie just called my wife a bitch twice, in fact. Yeah. Bitch. He's basically saying like, you called my wife a bitch. So like, that was much worse than me saying biatch.
Right. And she's like, oh, wait a minute. And she called me a bitch. Well, unless we roll that footage, I am leaving.
He's like, yeah, she called you a bitch twice while I was sitting right here. Well, that's abusive according to your husband. So I guess you're an abuser. Case closed.
So Seth, you're not sorry then? He just said he was sorry, Whitney. For fuck's sake.
Jeez.
Get with the program.
He's like, I said,
she's
I'm
just
sorry.
poking up behind Bronwyn's dress like, wait a minute. You're not sorry?
Okay, Todd, I've been really wanting to ask you your reaction to seeing Bronwyn share with the ladies in Mexico the story of your emotional affair. He's like, well, I have to apologize because I haven't seen it, Andy.
Oh, bullshit.
He's
You,
like,
you
he's
really
clutching-
haven't watched the scene of your wife accusing you of infidelity on national TV? Really? Okay.
Yeah, we have, but we talked about it, Andy. It's just, it's hard to watch. Literally, it's hard to watch. We've tried to all sorts of plugins on that Palm Pilot. We just cannot watch it on his device.
I've tried drawing it out for him a few times because really the only form of communication he accepts is Palm Pilots or just cave drawings. So
Yeah. We attached rabbit ears to the Palm Pilot. Didn't work.
So Todd is like, he's like,
Well, anything that Bronwyn had shared would be more than I would have wanted her to share. Now I'm just going to cross my arms and sit here very seriously for the next 10 minutes.
I'm going to bite my bottom lip and stare at the floor if anybody needs me. So Seth goes, so it was only emotional, biatch? See, I say it to everybody. Do it to everybody, guys. And Bronwyn's like, you know, yeah, I wouldn't even say it's an emotional affair, right? Which I never said. I mean, it's not even an emotional affair. I said that from the beginning. Am I right? Right. Exactly. You know, so, you know, there's a lot of people that Todd has different conversations with. You know, one time he asked the Starbucks lady for extra cream and I got very upset. I would not talk to a Starbucks person like that. I did not like that. And, you know, it was something like that.
One of my issues is I just feel like I'm not good enough. So when I see him take a latte from a barista, it does trigger feelings that I'm not good enough and I'm not proud of it. I'm not saying I'm proud of it, but it's something I do. It's something I feel. It's something I'm working through. Something I'm working through with Gwendolyn. Yes. And I am just, going through it, but that is my truth. And I have to be honest with my truth right now.
How did they not play a clip of her going, what about? Well, nobody's asking about me and all the infidelities I've gone through in my marriage out of nowhere when the conversation was like, hey, what do you think of ducks? Oh my God, I love ducks. What about my infidelities in my marriage? It's like, whoa, that came out of fucking nowhere. And she's like sobbing and throwing this big fit about it. How did we not get a clip of that? Come on, man.
maybe we will when Brittany comes out, because if you remember, it was Bronwyn stealing Brittany's moment where she's like, guys, I have an announcement. My daughter, she woke up this morning and had Cheerios. And they're like, well, let me tell you something. Todd cheated on me.
Yeah. It's just like, and she was volunteering that information out of nowhere, which was bizarre. I guess she wanted to talk about it, but also like get people on her side. I don't know what she was doing in that moment, but this kind of did change my opinion of it, because before I was, well, I don't know, my opinion's changed 20 times, just every time they show a different edit of it. But this is making me feel like, oh, so he 100% had an affair then. Like a full-on fledged, probably has another wife somewhere, because
it's too much of a back pedal.
It's too much, and just the way that he's freaking out about it, like he's very nervous. He's looking at the floor. She totally got in trouble about bringing it up, and yeah, it looks like he's actually about to cry about it. And she just keeps turning behind him, going, "You're okay, Todd. You can do this."
I love that. So then we see a flashback of the scene, and then we come back, and Heather's like,
I rallied hard for you. In this sisterhood, we rally for each other. People don't understand what happens here in this room between us, but we all understand. We are in the trenches together and we are rallying. I'm like, okay, settle down, Heather. You rallied for her. She's like, you rallied for her because you knew you were just collecting information to use against her at the reunion. So then,
and she's like, come on, babe. When we were on the boat, you wept and you said he'd been disloyal and you'd caught him in an affair. So what are you talking about now? And then we do see that clip of Bronwyn telling the girls that Gwen was the one who found it because she was looking over at his iPad, and saw that he had been texting another woman.
Right. So Heather says after that I rallied hard for you. And she's like, so did he do it or did he not do it? And Bronwyn's like, okay, I want to be very clear about this by talking about something else and not being clear about it. Okay. So when I said this to you on the boat, it was not happening in real time. What I was trying to explain to you is that I have an issue where I don't feel good enough. And there is a significant amount of things in my life that have not made me feel good enough. Being a single parent, being ostracized from the church, being terrorized by Heather Gay. And when I felt like everything I said in this group of women was misconstrued or misunderstood or looked at negatively, it does trigger this narrative that I'm not good enough. And that brings me back to a time when I didn't feel good enough, when Todd when he said a passing word to a stranger and had an emotional affair in that moment. And I just wanted to clarify that. That's all.
And she ends it by going, well, I said to you very clearly, no, stop nodding at me. You said to me very clearly that your husband was cheating on you and your daughter was the one who found out about it. Period. People can start going over the semantics of, well, she only said it was emotional. That's also cheating. Or it was only text. That's also cheating. Whatever it is. You were the one who brought your husband's infidelity on camera. And now we're pretending that it didn't happen or everybody misconstrued you or we're just all too fucking stupid to hear it. It doesn't matter the semantics of whether it was emotional or whether his fupa, was around somebody else's fupa. Okay.
So
he cheated.
So Lisa has a good point because she goes, well, this is where it's confusing because you held me very accountable for not being like, fuck Todd. And then now you're saying that like, you and I, like you just had like a conversation because, well, I didn't want you to say fuck Todd. And she's like, but where did But Lisa's like, but like where you said maybe Lisa can relate to Todd because maybe she's cheated. And basically she's like, you basically were mad at me and Meredith for like quote unquote taking Todd's side and then implying that we cheated when it turns out this was all over like an emotional affair that wasn't even that much of an emotional affair.
And by the way, she wasn't the one who said you cheated. Guess who said it? You guys are going to be shocked. Whitney was the one who said it. Yeah. Fucking Whitney again, who was also getting off scot-free. It was all.
This is the revelation. Everything is
always
Whitney.
It's always Whitney. Monica got to take the heat last year for all of Whitney's bullshit because she was horrible. But Whitney was starting all that shit with Monica last year, and Whitney totally got off scot-free. So Meredith, thank God, was like, well, you all co-signed it. That was not a cute conversation. And Lisa's like,
I saw it with my own 2 eyes. You co-signed. You know what? And I wouldn't say anything bad. And in fact, I said, Todd's going to be upset when he watches us. And I hugged Bronwyn to let you know that I was here for you, but I'm not going to talk badly about your husband.
And Meredith is like, well, I have a big problem here. Bang. Bang.
So then
roll back the clip.
So Bronwyn is like, well, when Todd and I talked this through, Todd gave me a 5th anniversary gift and it was a ring with 5 diamonds and also 5 new promises. I'm like, Bronwyn, like so if there's an emotional affair,
so he fucking cheated. He's not gonna give you a ring with 5 promises because you feel like Luigi in the Mario world. You know what I mean? Like, he stuck his dick in somebody, so just stop.
And I don't understand that mentality. Like, oh, I cheated, so here I'm going to give you something that you can put on your ring, so whenever you look at it, you can remember the time that I cheated on you. You know what I would want? I would want not 5 promises. How about 5 sessions of therapy? How about that instead? So,
how about 5 zaps on your dick from like a zap? A police zapper. That's what I want, you little fucker.
5 zaps.
And also, you don't understand the gift. I mean, listen, if anybody is curious about how often men cheat on their women, all you really need to do is look at how many flower shops there are in the world. Yeah. They're so prevalent that you can even get that shit at the grocery store. Okay?
Yeah, it's only
all the time.
So
there's only so many dead people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Andy's like, so what were the 5 promises? Oh, well, support, love, fidelity, and Matlock. Matlock on Tuesdays.
And transparency, that was one, Todd. Todd forgot that one. That's great. Well, guess what? I have a new delivery on the way. So that'll be fun. And get a new ring over this one.
Well, Meredith was upset because Whitney, in that conversation, you basically inferred that Lisa and Meredith had affairs.
So we see that flashback, and we come out of it, and Meredith is like, well, my intentions were very clearly to be supportive of you, and it was not even questionable. And then the next thing I know, you're having a powwow with 3 other women, and it results in me and Lisa being accused of cheating. And now I'm just hearing that this wasn't really that big of a deal. It wasn't that big of an affair. It wasn't this and that and the other. Well, don't hold me accountable, then.
And that's what's so frustrating about it, because you have the scene where she's literally just telling the other girls, Bronwyn, she's like, well, it seems like they were on Todd's side. I mean, they're taking up for Todd. Well, what's the problem with that if he didn't do anything? Like if he did anything, if he just talked funny to somebody at the Starbucks. I mean, come on, lady. So yeah, she's like, well, if it's not a big deal, then why is it a big deal how I reacted to it? Which I think is a good point.
Yeah, but I think that actually Bronwyn does a really good job here. She saves it. I think she does a full.
Well, she's
like,
very
head
good
nodding.
at this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She did a full head nodding culpability moment. She goes, when we got off the boat, I was very upset and I'd just been very vulnerable and it didn't seem like it went super well. And I came to both of you that night and I said, I don't feel good about it. And then you and I also had another conversation on the beach the next day after it. And, it was after horse riding. And I specifically said, I really appreciate that. And you gave me your point of view and it was very vulnerable of you to share and something that I need to take into consideration. So she was kind of like, yes, but also, I know I messed up. I already told you I messed up, and it's not my fault. The editors didn't even include the scene that we're about to see until right now.
Well, now we're starting to see why Meredith is having a fit about the editing too. Because she's like, you guys have made me look stupid over and over again, and you're not going to fucking do it again. Roll the tape, And
There's
so
two
I'm starting to see what she's talking about, because now we see the scene of Bronwyn apologizing. They're, just like she said, Meredith is saying, well, when you're saying I wasn't supportive, I was like, what could I have done? And Bronwyn's saying, nope. What you said was not wrong in any way, Meredith. I'm so sorry. I should have just, been quiet and listened to you because it was good advice. It was good advice, Meredith. And I should have listened to you.
It was actually a nice scene because Bronwyn was like, I was in my feelings. You were right. Like, I was not in a place to hear it, but now, like, I hear it now and everything. So it was actually, I actually thought it made me happy because I feel like nothing's getting resolved in this reunion. And this was a moment where it seemed like there was resolved because Meredith was like, thank you, Bronwyn. Thank you for that. I was like, oh my goodness, we finally got somewhere.
Yeah. And then so but then Heather goes, but that's not what happened. Like, am I taking crazy pills here? Because this is not what happened. But I'm not sure exactly what she's saying about it. Mm-hmm. I don't know what she means because they don't make it clear. But Andy's like, please, let's move on, please. And Bronwyn goes, but you know what, Heather? It's what happened for me. It's what happened for me. That's my truth. And that's the problem with my truth people right there. It's what happened to me. That's how I feel it happened. So
I don't think that's the problem with them, but that's just my truth. Just kidding. So Andy is like, all right, Todd, Bronwyn revealed that Gwen was the one who caught you messaging another woman. Ha, ha, ha. That must have been hard. And he's like,
Lisa's like, embarrassing. And he goes, yeah, I'm going to look at the floor here. And Bronwyn's like, and then she reaches back and grabs his leg and slaps Whitney in the face with her dress. She's like, ow. Yeah.
You're okay.
You're okay.
Do you want a butterscotch?
Yes, I do. So then Andy's like, okay, well, Angie, you said in Mexico you learned more about Bronwyn's marriage on the yacht than you knew about Lisa's entire life. Do you think that Lisa only opens up about safe topics and not about what's really going on? Watching that and watching her cry, I felt really bad. It was like leaving the moussaka in the oven too long. And what I was trying to say, Bronwyn barely knew any of us, and she divulged a lot of information. I mean, like, she put her whole life out there, and that's a risk as a couple to do that.
Well, to be fair, Lisa put a lot of Bronwyn's life out there, too. If that counts for anything.
Fair point. And Mary's like barely said anything because, well, she has her big moment coming up soon, but she's like, well, that's why everyone loves her. That's why people love Bronwyn. She's a fan favorite. And Angie is like, basically Angie is saying, like, she put herself out there. It was like a lot more. But she also, like, she does apologize to Lisa and is like, didn't mean to be a dick about it. But then they start talking over each other. And
she's like, I felt bad for her, but when I walked away, I guess I talk to Lisa every day, but we don't complain about our husbands. We're not like that. And Lisa's like, well, it was a dig. So then they start snapping over each other. And Andy's like, Bezos, Opa, Bezos, Opa, Bezos, Opa.
Okay, we got a lot of tweets wanting to know what is the status of Seth and Meredith's relationship. We saw you were in Ohio a lot. Are you two living separate lives? How often are you together? What's happening? Does anyone know more information about Sean's circle jerk?
Well, contrary to what Angie and Whitney and Heather, to an extent too, Heather, I'm cool with you, but still, disappointingly, said, Seth and I are monogamous. We do not cheat. We have a beautiful marriage that sometimes has bumps in the road, or one bean short of a fine bean salad, if you know what I mean. And if someone tells you their marriage is perfect 100% of the time, they are lying.
Well, when I kind of do an annual review of our marriage, it's as long as it's above an average of 51% of the time, I'm staying in the game, Andy. Biatch.
That's a pretty low bar, honey.
Well, it kind of helps that we're not physically together, right? And he's like, yeah, Andy, the fact that we're not together a lot often, I highly recommend commuting. So it feels like a first date on the weekends for me. So I see her every weekend and sometimes more than that.
Well, look, people online accuse Bronwyn and I of the same thing. So what, give me a break already, He doesn't stay at home, I don't stay at home. What are you going to do? Here's what you do. Go up to Starbucks and tell the lady you like her dress. Then give her your number. Maybe she'll text you a free coffee or something. Ron? Todd? Todd? No, bad. New necklace. The lady, Emma, comes in with a brand new necklace. She's like, here you go. Here you go.
So, Seth, Twitter questions. Do you have a side chick in Ohio? Oh my God, I can't believe you asked that. He's like, no, I definitely don't. Seth has a side chick. I don't understand. That's some sort of chicken. He's eating chicken in Ohio. I don't understand the question, Andy.
Chicken is actually an entree, Andy. And so Seth just raises both his hand and goes, this is the side chick, Andy. This is the side chick. This is my biatch right here in my hand. Two. I got two. And they're like, wow, classy. That's real classy, Seth. Jeez.
Well, okay. Sean, how do you feel about seeing Seth hold his hands up like that? Does that give you any memories of any experiences?
I'm never going to live this down. Meredith? Bronwyn's like, Meredith, you should turn your hearing aids off for this. And I'm surprised Meredith wasn't like, oh, really? Oh, well, if we're going to go after my disability.
All right. I want to thank the Huzzzbands for being here. Special shout out for Todd. You did it. You almost cried. I almost broke you. Didn't quite get there, but next year, looking forward to it.
And John, I hope to see you again. And hopefully next time we can come together. Okay. See you guys.
So they all stand up to leave, and then Bronwyn's like, hey, Todd, we might just want to hold on a sec. Let John walk off, because you guys have a little spiciness, and I mean, that was unnecessary for him to tell you to watch your mouth. He's the one who needs to watch his, and he needs to watch his wife's. He's like,
you see what she does? This is her. She's like, bye. You're not going to go backstage and make friends with the guys now. Don't forget why you're mad at him, and also tell him to tell his wife to shut the fuck up too. Okay, you're excused. Goodbye.
Yes. So now we move into the Mary Cosby section, which was really, we talked about this at the top of the episode. It's like a beautiful, moving, emotional section that, honestly, probably not so easy for us to make fun of. So we can just do a high level, recap of basically what happened in it, which is that essentially Robert, they talked about, Robert going to rehab, doing really, really well now. Mary being a great role model for people. And it was, I mean, like everyone was crying, like Andy's crying. I was crying watching it, it was a hard watch.
Yeah. Basically it was a talk about addiction and addiction with family members. And they were saying the fact that she was having those discussions on TV was good because it was destigmatizing, because that's something that people just don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
You either excuse it to the point where and they weren't saying this, but I was thinking it. Mm-hmm. When you see it on reality TV, it's like either someone's an addict and they're excused from everything because it's like a blanket, like they're a victim kind of mentality, or it's kind of like an attack and a judgment and this and that. But there's never just honest conversations about it and how it does happen to people that you love that you would never think it's going to happen to, that you can't understand how it happened to or why. And there's a change in people when it happens. And it's just really fascinating to watch them talk about it so openly. And also to remember how much addiction has affected this cast. Angie lost her parent to addiction when she was very young. And then you've got Whitney, who hasn't talked to her dad since season 1. So Whitney's sobbing because she's like, I'm trying to explain it to my children. And so having them be able to watch this kind of it gives them a window into what addiction looks like to other family members and how it affects. So it was all really, really nice, really well done. And I'm actually glad, not for the recap sake, but I'm glad for the show's sake that it went on for a good 15 minutes. I mean, it was a long segment.
It was a long one. Well, it was really a beautiful moment. Like, it was really very compelling to watch. Angie broke down because because Mary told Angie, like, if your mom could do it all again, she would have done it differently. And that really affected Angie. It was something that Angie, I think, really needed to hear. And so that was like a very raw moment for her. And then Whitney obviously breaking down about her dad. I mean, that must be really tough. And I liked hearing the stories about how Heather watched the scene with her daughters, Whitney watched it with her kids, and the scene inspired them to like have conversations with their kids about it, which I think is actually so incredibly important. And I hope and I imagine a lot of parents watching it also maybe watch that scene with their kids, because it was really powerful. But it's like, you know, we used to have after school specials, and not like after school specials fix anything, but there was like a lot of attention to these moments, I feel like, growing up. And I don't know if they really exist anymore. And it was I think it was important for a good, like, parent-child gather around the TV moment that hopefully can help kids and, like, give them that moment, help pause.
Guys, let's all gather around the TV to watch Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, call each other's husbands gay circle jerkers before we get to a good drug addiction part.
If it's the thing that like causes someone to just like have like a moment of doubt or pause before they do something reckless, like, then
Bobby really understands now. Bobby, let's show a clip of Bobby understanding.
Yeah, I just had a Mountain Dew and a Dr. Pepper mixed with some whipped cream on top. Be honest, that was real good talking about addiction. Mom, hey mom, what's a circle jerk?
Now let me pour some Coffee Mate into my Mountain Dew and some Italian syrup. No, but it was beautiful. It was also interesting to hear how Robert Sr. reacted, which was that he commended Mary, which was also great. Like, I didn't know what his reaction would be.
Well, yeah, you're waiting for Granddaddy over there to see what he says. And he was like, good job. And I'm proud of you. And she says that he never says that kind of stuff to her. So it was nice. Okay, curtains closed. So then Andy's like, so one thing I was noticing while watching this is Meredith seemed to be giving really dirty looks during this whole thing. And it's just because it's Meredith's face, which is very hard to read. But everyone else is crying and nodding at everything being said. And Meredith is just kind of sitting there giving a dirty look. But I think it's because Angie kept talking the whole time about like how close she is with Mary and they're best friends. And Mary's like, I've never had a friend like Angie. And it becomes this thing about their love for each other and like how bonded they are. And I was like, oh, that's why Meredith is pissed. Because now we get into the Meredith part, and she's just sitting there like, I was friends with this bitch for how long, and now, you know.
Well, that's why, because Mary was like, yeah, I've never had a friend like Angie, and because Andy's like, wow, you know, Mary, you were like dialed in, and like you were so much more present, and Mary's like, well, because for the first time I finally had a friend, and finally someone who would listen to me, finally someone who understood me, and they just kept on cutting to Meredith like, I want to get mad at her, but she just had her whole scene with her about her son, so I'm just going to figure this one out. And Andy's like, well, I don't want to start anything. Just kidding, I do. I mean, you and Meredith had a nice friendship. What about her? So we go to commercial break, but Mary saves it. Mary's like, well, you know, my relationship with Meredith is different, and Meredith is beautiful, and she's a beautiful friend, and I love Meredith, but she's a busy woman, and she's traveling and travels the world, does all these things, but she basically is like, no, I love Meredith, but just not as much as Angie.
Yeah, she's like, I love Meredith, but it's different. She doesn't have as much time for me and stuff. But it's also because, you know, they both got so immature. She's like, you want to leave my house if you keep talking? And then she's like, oh, well, now I'm being kicked out. And we saw the interaction with Mary and Angie when Angie made Mary mad. And Mary was like, I'm done with her. Like, fuck off then. We're not friends because you went and talked to Brittany instead of staying at the table with me. It's something so stupid. But we saw how Angie had to talk Mary back. And nobody knew that code yet of just being like, Mary, I love you. And you need to just come back. And you really hurt me. And we need to work this out. And that's how she kind of got Mary back and cemented that. And Mary explained why later because of all her trauma, etc. But Meredith didn't know that. She didn't know how to do it at the time. So she's just like, well, I guess I just didn't know the trick. But I do now. But it was nice, you know. But it was basically like, you're nice, but I've moved on. I now eat a lot of pita bread.
Really into tzatziki now.
Well, Colin on Twitter thinks Meredith is clearly jealous of Mary and Andy's new friendship. Well, Colin on Twitter can believe whatever he wants, but it's not true. I'm not jealous at all.
So Andy's like, well, Mary and Meredith, your friendship really fell apart over Mary's brunch. So we see all that. And Andy's like,
when did you start noticing the breakdown in your relationship? Well, I don't know if it was a breakdown, so to speak. I think it was more that we just both weren't like Mary had a lot going on. She was hanging out with Angie K a lot. I'm not jealous. And I felt very much under attack at that lunch, so I just think it was a clashing moment.
Well, Aqua from 4 says, Meredith, I think that Mary hates you because of the bangs you wore to her party. She goes, oh, really? Well, you can think it's the bangs, but let me tell you something, okay? It's all the other stuff that's nasty that the other women say about me that's the problem. Let me pull out my phone.
They're like, oh,
Mary, by the way,
God.
I love Mary goes, oh, those bangs were a little bit of a type of suffering.
So she whips out the phone. She goes, so we got a list of all the lovely things that have been thought about. And they're like, oh, Jesus. And Whitney's like, do you, after every episode, take notes?
No, these are notes in preparation for today. I've been called a drug addict, a bulimic, a cheater, homeless, mentally unstable, next level psychotic, disassociation, mother. Thank you, Sean, for that one. Multiple personality disorder, a snitch, a liar. My appearance has been made of. My hearing aids have been made fun of. And I've been insulted as a mother. I'm a grudge holder, a whore, and I play the victim. And those are the ones that I can remember.
Icon. Thank you, Sean. That was another. I'll write that on the list, too.
That's on the good column.
All right. Thank you, Sean.
We can move forward.
But I didn't have time to watch back 5 years and get the other ones.
And Angie's like, so should we address each one by one? Like that Angie's like, well, I can prove half of those at least,
Yeah. So then we see flashbacks of people. Well, no, actually, I'm sorry. Angie's like, but what about the things that you have said to other people? She's like, I have not said a lot. Then we have a montage like, you are a monster. Get out of my face.
Angie is a pit bull.
Yeah, Angie's like, a pinball coming after me. And then telling Angie, you are an ugly human being. And to Brittany, I have had enough of you. You are vile. But I can say to everything except the Angie, you are an ugly human being. Every single one of those was reactions from people coming after her and her staying calm for the most part until they wouldn't stop. So I say self-defense, court dismissed.
I agree. I totally agree. So Andy's like,
all right. Well, Ruda from Vega says, how exactly did Mary use you for 3 years when she was the one who didn't talk about your marriage or your son?
Well, I will say this was obviously a heated moment, and I'm not coming for Mary because she's the most popular person on the show. I just don't like feeling disposable. Okay, and that's how I felt at the time.
And Meredith's like, but how did I use you? And she goes,
because I was the only one around you during that time who you were interacting with.
But I used you? Yes, Mary, nobody would shoot with anybody, and you wouldn't shoot with anybody. And Meredith came to your house to be, be your only friend. So it was kind of, I don't think she used her necessarily, but I can see how somebody would feel like, oh, now that she doesn't need somebody to shoot with anymore because she has somebody else, she's just going to dump me,
Right. Mary's like, well, I mean, I don't use anybody. I've never used anyone in my life. And to say that about my character, I'd appreciate it if you just say it wasn't true. Meredith's like, well, I just said that's how I felt in the moment. I don't think it's true. I just felt that way in the moment.
Mary needs so much explaining. They just have to explain things to her so much. She goes, so I'm using you?
No, Mary, what I'm telling you is at that moment, which was a different moment than this moment. I thought you did, but now I do not.
Well, could you apologize?
I did apologize, and I meant it.
Okay, well, thank you for the apology.
I'm sorry.
About saying I used you, I didn't really like that.
No, Mary.
Don't get her started with a who's on first moment.
So really?
Mary, I want to give me a hug. So they hug. And it's really nice. And Mary's like, your boobs, are they smaller? Yes. Do you not remember? I actually didn't remember either that she had a reduction.
I didn't either. Or maybe she just took the breastplate off. Remember that one that she wore in like season 2? People were like, is that a drag queen breastplate? What is she wearing?
So that Mary basically is like, she kind of has like a wish, which is like, you and Angie need to work it out. You need to work it out, guys.
Yeah, I think Mary has not got better at conflict. She still doesn't seem to know what's going on in a conflict, but she's gotten a lot better at resolution. Like she'll just give a resolution now and be like, okay, is this worth it? No, let's just hug, which I think is good. So they hug, and that's how we end the episode. And then next week, Brittany comes. Dun, 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 dun.
It will be fun. And we are going to do next week's Salt Lake City in Salt Lake City, which will be a real treat. It'll be our first ever Salt Lake and Salt Lake moment. So if you are in that area, please come to our show and enjoy it, because I think it's going to be really wild. Recapping Salt Lake City in the city itself. So that's,
and then following that, we'll be in Denver the next night recapping Southern Charm. So those are the shows we're recapping next week live. We'll be back next week with a full schedule, and obviously before any of that happens, we'll be doing Watch What Happens live tonight after Southern Charm. Check us out there and get streaming tickets for the Crappies this Saturday night at 8 p.m. in New York City. If you cannot watch them while they're being streamed, you can also watch them anytime you want for 2 weeks. So go on and get that vidya. Tickets are at watchwhatcrappens.com.
We will talk to you next time, my little gifts. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Watch What Crappens would like to thank its premium sponsors.
Ain't no thing like Allison King.
Our way is the Amber way.
It's always automatic with Ashley Auto.
Ashley Savoni, she don't take no baloney.
Put your hands together for Carly Clapp.
Catherine DiBernardo has our hardo.
Get on the right foot with Chrissy Offutt. Dana C. Dana Do.
She's not just a Sheila, she's a Daniela. Etchels.
Aaron McNicholas, she don't miss no trickolas. Jamie, she has no last namey. You'll never hide from Heidi Eleanor Jones.
I go, you go, we all go for Hugo.
Hava Nagila Weber. Know Your Worth with Jason Kurth.
We could all learn from Jennifer Kearns.
She's our kind of mess. It's Jennifer Messer.
Sip some scotch with Jessica Trotch.
Knock, knock, knocking on Katie Mannock's door.
She's our favorite streamer, Caroline Peacock.
Kristen the Piston Anderson. Get a bee in your bonnet with Lacey B.
Bringing the funk, it's Leslie Plunkett.
She gets an A from us. It's Lindsay D. Let's give a kisserino to Lisa Lino. Fresh as a daisy, it's Maisie McHenry. We love her on the rocks. It's Melissa Cox. Megan Berg. You can't have a burger without the Berg.
This is Living with Michelle Vivian.
I love ya, Olivia Williamson. Tastier than Flanderson, it's Rachel Manderson.
Have a heck of a time with Rebecca.
She sure is swell. It's Raquel.
Yes, we canna, it's Savannah.
Cast a spell with Shannon Spellman. The Bay Area Betches. Betches.
And our super premium sponsors. She's VVIP, it's Amanda V.
Somebody get us 10 cc's of Betsy MD.
She's got a leg up. It's Beth Ani.
We're taking the gold with Brenda Silva. Don't get salty with Christine Pepper. Can't have a meal without the Emily Sides.
Nobody holds a candle to Jamie Kendall. We got our wish. It's Jen Plish.
She's not harsh. She's Jill Hirsch.
She's a little bit loony. Junie. My favorite Murdo, Karen McMurdo. We love him madly. It's Kyle Pod Shadley.
Let's go on a bender with Lauren Fender.
We're ride or die for Lisa Ryder Barron.
She's a whiz. It's Liz Sarthy.
Always killing it. It's Lola Alkalani.
The incredible edible Matthews sisters. She eases our woes. It's Melissa St. Rose.
Give him hell, Miss Noel.
Put on a kettle for Rebecca Weddle.
She's the queen bee. It's Sarah Lemke. Shannon, out of a cannon, Anthony. Let's take off with Tamla Plain.
She ain't no shrinking Violet Kuchar. We love you guys.